Coos Bay City Council meeting in order. Would everyone rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Paula, you want to lead us off, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, first item on the agenda this evening is public comments. We only have one person that signed up for public comments, but that doesn't mean you're limited to not coming up and speaking on whatever issue. But the one that signed up first is Lou Liberty. So Lou, you would be the time to come forth and give us the comment you would like to make. And it says people, so that's a broad subject.
I'll take the glasses off so I don't steam up.
Okay.
First of all, my people comment is, I don't know how to address the people properly. I know how I would address the people.
Okay.
First of all, my home address is 1725 North 8, Coos Bay. And my property that I'm concerned about is 1175 South 7th, okay? I don't own the business anymore, I own the property. We've had a person in a motorhome living on that street for over a month now. I've consistently called the police on a pretty regular basis. You sent 3 employees at one point in time and a police officer just to pick up his garbage, his first call. That was my first call. And since then, you've had at least 4 visits to tell him to pick up his garbage, okay? And I think a month is plenty of time for the city to be able to move somebody, okay? And I'm scared with what happened there. He threw shit out. I've turned the city over to the DEQ because you can't have 10 people a day coming and going out of that motorhome without somebody defecating on the street and sometimes dumping his motorhome that he has not moved other than about 3 foot last weekend. Okay? So, I don't know how to address the problem. I know how I do it. I'd hook on my chain and tow it and dump it in the bag.
Right.
That's what we used to do, okay? People need help, I understand that, but it's a little long and a little tiresome. He's used our garbage can, we've had theft, they stopped calling because we have to fill out our own report, okay? I've been contacted by the police and they've given me the explanation that the District 9 court hasn't been very kind to them, so they can't do anything to these people. They could have tagged their vehicle to be towed, and it could have been done at least by this month, I think, if the law reads right. I'm frustrated. I'm afraid I might do something stupid, okay?
Well, don't do that.
The next part is I hear rumbles that you want to give the property the old sewer treatment plant. That would make a great RV park. And I don't want to look like the church that they kick people out. If you want to give something away, you have the basement of this building, the police are close, it's covered. You can heat it for them. They got public bathrooms if you need. You're here to take care of them. Fire department has room around their side of their parking lot to use it. There's all kinds of emergency services for those people. And that's my solution for your give something to, I can't even call them homeless because they want to be there or they would have moved there. Thank you for listening. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Well, to begin with, I can tell you that the facility, which is the old wastewater facility, will not be going to be considered for a facility for whatever homelessness.
Urban camp.
I'm proud of Charleston. I'd hate to see
Right.
what hangs around.
Right. The council didn't feel it was the right location. So that's not the case. And I know your problem is not unique, and it's unfortunately that it.
as I live there and down by Coos Toyota, they're there. They're
Yep.
there for a while, they move. I
Sure.
run my dog down there, and it doesn't seem to be as messy and as crappy as this gentleman, I use that very loosely,
Correct.
as this gentleman treats the policeman. They come down and watch him pick up his crap. We have to call, policeman, go back down there. And I watched 3 city workers and a policeman pick up his trash. He dumped, the fire department has been there, the first report, he burned a mattress. That half-burned mattress ended up in Bend West dumps. Thank you for listening.
You're welcome, Lou. Thank you. Sorry for the issues. It's an ongoing problem. Chris, Deputy Chief Chapinar, can you address this? I understand that you're working on this.
Yeah, definitely, we are aware of it, and we have been trying to make as much progress as we can with it. The actual gentleman that owned it prior, that Mr. Liberty is referring to, actually has sold that motorhome to a female who now resides in that motorhome. The biggest issue that we have is the ability to tow it when it's somebody's home. And that's what the Ninth Circuit has prevented us from doing. So what we're trying to do is work with the available resources that we have in our community and find a long-term solution. Our community resource officer was out with her today, provided her some garbage bags to start cleaning up the trash around. She assured him, and we can only take her at face value right now, but she assured him that she will keep the area clean and that she is trying to get the motorhome running, and she will try to get it moved as quickly as possible. It is one of our priority. We have another one off of South Marple and Empire that we're working on a daily basis. We're making these our projects. I completely understand your frustration, and if we had more to work with right at this point, we would definitely do more, but this is kind of what we have to work with. In terms of like the offensive littering, we can issue citations for that, and we have. But citations, if they don't pay it, it is, it's only a citation, and we're trying to look for more long-term solutions than just issuing a citation that's not going to potentially get paid. But we will go that route if we need to, and we have before in the past. It's just really trying to work with these folks and trying to figure out long-term solutions.
So can't we have direct them to another spot to park, or can't we put restrictions on the parking on there? I mean, and so where, maybe we can let certain areas be allowed where they're, and can kind of control it in other areas. I mean, like on 101, I'll see down there, it says nothing above 5 feet high can park here, but that it's not all the way, it's just like selective areas. And so my question is, and then there's other parking that limits time constraints on how much parking can be done, and you can only park here between these hours and these hours. So I guess, maybe we need to try to find a way to have regulations throughout the city that regulate certain areas on time frames and height restrictions, and where they're able to park in certain areas that aren't going to be impacted as much, and maybe there's more of a control where we can, is there something that we can do about that?
Well, I think the homeless work group is going to be discussing that at their meeting next week. The real issue is that you can't, per the Ninth Circuit, you can't criminalize people being homeless. So when you make ordinances, they have to be very broad, and they affect everyone. And there's, of course, a House bill before the Oregon legislature that says your time, matter, and place restrictions have to be reasonably objective, and that if it passes, they're going to provide remedies to the homeless where they can sue the city and seek award, and then the city would have to pay reasonable attorney fees of theirs.
I understand that we have to have locations for these individuals and these entities, whether they're motorhomes or where they may be. But we also, can't we control where they get into commercial areas and are going to impact like Front Street and 101? Well, we have a sign already says it's not above 5 feet.
I think the issue becomes where with the term that you use, control, and you're talking about people who basically don't live at a certain address. They live on the street, and that becomes the legal problem. I get the time, manner, and place thing is very critical in how we do this, but the homeless work group is actually going to be discussing this in depth and bring some stuff back.
And I understand there needs to be locations, but why can't, for instance, we find a location, as Lucy suggests, wherever it may be, that we can allow these people to park? I'm not saying that we have to blanket the whole city with these restrictions, because of course that's not going to be legal. But there's certain areas that we can restrict and put limitations on, and then allow others, I would hope. I mean, we even have, you know, by the Visitors Information Center, we have motorhome facility parking areas and stuff. I mean, I think that we just, and the homeless committee, since Stephanie and Drew, you guys sit on it, I think it's something that we need to think about how we can allow them an area to be, which would be beneficial to them and everyone in the community. That's all.
Related to Joe's point there, I need a memory check on the determination of the Ninth Circuit Court. If I recall correctly, if there were to be a shelter available that were secular, that was open to everyone, then those individuals could potentially be moved to that shelter site. So if we had one,
Right.
that would resolve this issue.
Well, and we're working, if I
Partially.
understand it, that's the other issue. We're trying to find a facility or a place that would be acceptable, that we just haven't gotten there yet. And so, but in the meantime, I was wondering if there's something else that we can do to try to facilitate the citizens here too.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do through the homeless work group. I can tell you that Boise just finally settled their case, which was the case in question. And it's a $3.6 million settlement.
Okay. Lou?
Just one other comment, and I forgot about it. With your governor releasing everybody from prison here in the next couple of years, this problem's going to get a lot worse.
Yep.
And I think we need some kind of solution to at least harbor them up so that portion of town is not what it used to be.
Well, it's true. I mean, but the county, and I'm not blaming the county, it's just that they don't have the manpower to man the jail. In fact, recently, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Deputy Chief and Roger, that at one point they weren't even putting anyone in there, and now they've hired a few, and there are some that are being allowed in. Am I correct?
They're allowing a few. It's mostly because of COVID restrictions, but I wouldn't even hazard, it's probably not even 5% of those being arrested or being allowed in the jail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, pretty much, it's just serious person crimes or mandatory arrests, like, domestic assaults and menacing felony charges.
So Lou, I can say that this council understands your frustration, and it's something that is on our minds, and it's been something that we've been discussing for some period of time. For your information, we have a homeless committee that's been going for a few years, and Stephanie and Drew are both on it for the city, and we have a variety of other individuals throughout the county that sit on it that are trying to come up with some solutions to help and do this. Obviously, as you've heard some of the discussion now, we don't have an immediate fix, and that's unfortunate, and also that impacts our citizens and our areas. You're not the only one. As Roger can attest, I walk a lot, and I will constantly call him and say, is there anything we can do about this motorhome or this issue? And so, because it's, as you said, in front of your building there, but also I think it impacts some tourist areas and some areas that we're trying to develop, and I think it's an impact on that. So I understand, and I appreciate you coming down here. I wish I could see you under other circumstances, and hopefully we can. But it's something that we are working on and is on our minds. So anyway, those are my comments. Council, anyone else want to chime in?
Mr. Mayor, I was just going to say that we met with staff, Drew and I met with staff, or actually staff met and we got to attend. We understand that this is an issue. It's probably not just the jail issue that's going to make this when the moratoriums are lifted on evictions and other things. We know that this is going to be a critical issue. So we are attempting in the work group setting to actually move this matter through quicker rather than taking longer to get it back to the council. And we have some timelines. So I can tell you that it is a concern. This work group represents not just the homeless community, it represents all of the citizens in our community because homelessness impacts everyone. And Lou's situation is a classic example of how that is. So we are trying to move it as quickly as possible and compassionately.
So I know that's not the answer you want to hear, but it's something that we're addressing.
Mouth forward.
No, it's fine. We don't mind it. And we
important
welcome
we
you
hear
coming
it.
down anytime.
This is the place to do it.
Yeah. All right, so any other public comments this evening? Anyone else like to come forth and give us a comment that they would like to hear us to hear about? No? Okay. We'll move on to the next item, consent calendar. Council, how would you like to proceed?
I move we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as submitted. Any other comments? Hearing none? I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Next item on the agenda is presentation of the Coos Bay Downtown Association semi-annual report. Holly, I think you're here to give us that report. It's good to see you.
Hi there, thank you for having me.
And I think we have a PowerPoint, obviously.
Yeah, we're just
Okay.
gonna pull it up here. So I'm Holly Boardman, I am the Executive Director of the Coos Bay Downtown Association, and I am here to give our semi-annual report this evening. Next. If you can even imagine, last January 16th, 2020, when we did our Celebrate Downtown annual membership meeting, it was in person.
Yeah.
We had our largest turnout ever. People sat side by side. We talked. We ate food. You know, it was amazing. We were interacting with each other. It was a really great night. We had guest speakers Joe Bonetti and building owner Rob Crocker, and they both just gave really inspiring speeches. And I had so many comments afterwards. They're so grateful to see what we were doing downtown and where Coos Bay was going to be going in the future. So we were really excited about that. We also held our board member elections, and we added 2 new board members, Katie Granado and Steve Schneiderman. We gave out awards to Dana Weber with Banner Bank for years of service, Walt and Sandy Evans for Volunteer of the Year, and Carolyn Johnson here with the city for Partnership of the Year. And I wanted to thank everyone, all the council members who attended that meeting. We really appreciate it. Next. So you can see in this photos, we actually had our highest turnout ever. I think it was about 85 people, which for us is really good. Typically we get around 60. So this was last year's Celebrate Downtown annual membership meeting. Next. First, we have board member Beth Clarkson. She is the president of the Cvda. She's also the chair of the organization committee, and she also served on the design and promotions committee. If that wasn't enough, she's also the editor of the newsletter. And when their farmers market computer crashed, she did not hesitate, and Checkerberry's donated a computer to the farmers market. She is with Checkerberry's Flowers and Gifts, and we couldn't do it without her. Next. So we did have a farmers market season. We were not open for the month of May because we had to prepare for COVID-19 guidelines, but we did open, and it was from June 3rd to October 28th. This was our 20th season. We had market manager Melissa Hassart. She came in 2 weeks into the job. It was COVID-19, so not only learning a new job, but learning about how to open an essential service like a farmer's market during COVID-19. So she did a great job. We were very happy with her. It is an essential service like a grocery store, which is why we were able to open. We did have to have hand washing stations and social distancing. We were able to have the SNAP match program. If you're not aware of that, it's with the food stamps. If you take $10 off your food stamp card, you can get what's called double up food bucks, an extra $10 for fruit and vegetables at the market. It's a really great program that supports not only the community members, but all those local little farmers that need that income as well. We had our average vendor attendance of 45 per week. This is really interesting because in a typical year, we have 90 vendors. And we only had 45, and that was due to social distancing, because for every 10-foot booth, we had to have 10 foot of space in between. So it really cut our market in half. So we are going to be starting the market in COVID-19 guidelines this year, and hopefully we'll see if the guidelines loosen up, if we can put people a little bit closer together, maybe 6 feet and whatnot. But so we had 45 vendors per week. We had hand washing station sponsors from Banner Bank, Harmony Home Health Care, Range Chiropractic, Jenny Shoes, and South Coast Family Dentistry. We had hand washing stations on each block, and that was part of being able to open and be like a grocery store, is that we provided those hand washing stations. We also had hand sanitizer at each and every booth, as well as the informational booth as well. We got plexiglass donated by 7-Eleven, and then we had our regular farmers market sponsors, Jenny Shoes, Wildflower Cafe, Coos Head Food Co-op, the Oregon Health Insurance Marketplace, and So It Goes Coffee. And I do want to thank the city. They come early in the morning and turn all the power on for us, and then after the market's over, they come by and they help pick up the garbage and they help straighten things up. We couldn't do it without the city, and we just were really appreciative of that. Next slide. So this one is just, you can see some of the beautiful flowers we have, some of the produce, our donut vendor, the berry girls, and our farm and yarn ladies. Next slide. And then we have board member Dana Weber. She is with Banner Bank. She serves on the organizations committee. Banner Bank has always been the sponsor of our Santa event. This year our Santa event was a little bit different, but they also sponsored it. They were a hand washing station sponsor, and they also donated pencils, and that sounds really weird, but what we used the pencils for was on the food stamp machine, and we're typing in everything, and then we hand it to the customer. Instead of them touching it, they got to use a pencil and use the eraser tip to enter their PIN and do everything. So we weren't having to wipe it down, the entire day and the entire season. So we thank Banner Bank for the pencils they donated for us. And then Dana Weber came up with the idea for the dues relief program for the match of $2,500. And in just a minute, I'll tell you about that match program. Next slide. The organization committee. We were working on a new membership drive. We had a total of 71 members. We applied on behalf of Rob Crocker for the Buggy Bank building for the Oregon Main Street Revitalization Grant, and they received the grant in the amount of $200,000. The name of the company is 201 Central LLC, the owner of the Buggy Bank building. They have now completed the project. There are 10 apartments and a communal living space in the upstairs of the building. We received the Oregon Community Foundation grant in the amount of $5,000 for general operating support in response to COVID-19 outbreak. Next. We applied and received the Oregon's Coronavirus Relief Fund for Culture Support grant in the amount of $4,685. It covered COVID-19 related expenses and payroll for COVID-19 job duties. This is what I was talking about earlier. We created the dues relief program with Banner Bank in the amount of $2,500. So we knew that a lot of our members were struggling, and we wanted to find a way to keep our membership up and to reinduce those people into our membership. So with the help of Banner Bank, they're matching the bronze level or the silver level with a 50% payment. So for example, our bronze membership is $100. Banner Bank is paying $50 and the member is paying $50. So this is on a first come, first served basis, and we have had a lot of interest, and it's also open to new members as well. So it's a really great program, and we're really thankful to Banner Bank for opening this program to us. The organization committee for the Cvda, we also received the administrative fees for working on the revitalization grant in the amount of $12,000. Next. Then we have board member Susie Gibbs. She's the co-chair of the design committee, farmers market sponsor, hand washing station sponsor, and she also hosts the Shop Small Saturday Mug Exchange at Jenny's Shoes. Next. So here we go. This was a revitalization grant for the Buggy Bank building, the upstairs apartments. This is what it looked like when they started. Next. Right now they were under construction, and we were kind of taking pictures and chronologizing this so that we could turn it into our grant at the end for the final report. Next. And here is the completed project. You can see the apartments, the communal living space, the laundry room. And so this is just a great project. It ran pretty smoothly. They were able to complete it pretty easily. And we sent in the final report, and we're good to go.
So,
Next.
Holly, on that, just so everyone knows, this project was for the OHSU residency program for the students coming down, correct?
That is correct.
And that's one of the reasons he was able to get this grant with that understanding that it was going to facilitate that type of thing. I just want people to understand, because there was at least a tie to it, so.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Then we have board member Julie Graham. She's the co-chair of the promotions committee. And she also assists with our Shop Small Saturday commemorative mug exchange. She's with Bicoastal Media. Next. The promotions committee puts on great events year-round. We held the COVID-19 Safe Farmers Market, holiday open houses, Shop Small Saturday, Drive-By Santa, and the Reindeer Roundup. In the first half of the year, we were getting ready for all of the events in the second half of the year. Unfortunately, we did have to cancel the Blackberry Arts Festival, the Bay Area Fun Festival, and Trick or Treat and Trunk or Treat, due to not meeting COVID-19 guidelines in 2020. However, I do want to make it clear that we are still planning for events in 2021. and we're taking a look at them individually and seeing exactly where we're at and seeing what the guidelines are, but we are planning for events, so there's a little bit of hope out there. So, we do meet regularly, and we're always looking for ways to bring people downtown. Next. We have board member Steve Schneiderman. He's the co-chair of the promotions committee, and he's with Marshfield Mercantile. Next. Just some of the stuff the promotions committee does. This is one of our food trucks, the Laney Farms. This is one of our farmers market day. You kind of get an idea of what's going on downtown on Central during farmers market day. Next. We did hold our holiday open houses this year, November 13th through the 14th. This is a great way to get people in the community downtown into these local shops and starting to think about the holidays and preparing for the holidays this way. We had a good event this year. Next. Then we have board member Doug Woolsey, who's the co-chair of the design committee, and Doug hangs all the seasonal banners. He has a really good eye, and we're really glad to have him on the design committee. Next. Then we had Shop Small Saturday on November 28th. So starting with the holiday open houses and going till Shop Small Saturday, people can collect their receipts anywhere from downtown Coos Bay, so like a local shop or restaurants or whatnot. They compile those receipts together, and anyone that can show us $100 in receipts gets a free commemorative Marshfield mug. So this was our Shop Small Saturday event, and they were giving out the mugs to our community members. Next. This year, we really wanted to have a Santa event no matter what was happening. So we came up with a drive-by Santa, and what we did is we had Santa up on a trailer, and it was all decorated with all of his reindeer and the trees and the decorations, and it was beautiful. And then as you can see in the photo, the cars would drive up, and then if they wanted to, they would get out, they would stand on the X, and Santa would be up behind them, and they could get a picture with Santa in the background. We had a mailbox for Santa's letters, and they could also tell Santa their wish on the street, and then we gave out candy canes to all the kids. So it was a really fun way to get people downtown still having a Santa experience for their kids, and so we didn't have to cancel it, we just changed it around a little bit this year. Next. And then Santa went from the drive-by Santa event from downtown to the tree lighting, and this was him driving over the tree lighting, and then that's the tree being lit. Next. And this year we had a different promotion. It's called the Reindeer Roundup. Katie Granado with South Coast Family Dentistry came up with this really fun idea. So all the reindeer that were at the drive-by Santa event, we had a downtown reindeer named Ruckus. Ruckus convinced all of Santa's reindeer not to go back to the North Pole, but instead to explore the downtown Coos Bay shops. So these 10 reindeer each of them were placed in different businesses, and then they got moved, and each of them kept them for about a week. So they rotated through the downtown businesses. And then community members could go in and get a picture when they would find the reindeer and post it on Facebook, #CoosBayHoliday. And then we had a prize basket valued at over $400 that our winner won. So this is some of the pictures people took for Reindeer Roundup. Next. The design committee, we displayed and hung the seasonal banners. The flower baskets that we do arrived in May to highlight downtown. As you can see in this picture here, these are the running leg bike racks that we have been working on. We purchased the design from an artist in Tennessee. We received a grant from the Ford Family Foundation for $5,000 and a grant from Jordan Cove for $2,500. We are working with the Marshfield High School manufacturing class to produce the racks, and then the city will help us install them. There are 3 legs at the pre-mural, 3 at the boardwalk, 2 at the visitor center, and 1 on Central and 2nd. This grant was extended to April 2021 due to the school being closed and having to put the bike racks on hold, but they're progressing nicely, and hopefully they should be installed soon. We'll get our first phases done. Next. And then we have board member Barb Dunham. She serves on the organization committee. She was the vice president, and she's with Travel Southern Oregon Coast. Next. I'm sure you know, but this is an example of the flower baskets that we have in downtown Coos Bay and the wayfinding signs that the design committee works on. Next. And then we have board member Stephanie Kilmer, who is the chair of the Economic Vitality Committee. She's with KDOC, but she's also our city liaison. And what I have to tell you is that Stephanie has worked countless hours on this economic vitality downtown Coos Bay plan for the Travel Oregon grant that we received. She was on every single Zoom call, and she was there through all these meetings, and we're just very grateful to her for all the time she put into this, and it was just a really great project. Next. So economic vitality, we applied for the Travel Oregon Grant for Tourism for an economic vitality plan for downtown Coos Bay, and we received the grant in the amount of $20,000. We hired Rural Development Initiatives, partnering with the Coos Bay North Bend Visitor Center to complete the economic vitality downtown plan. Along with that, we also had a smart hub in Coos Bay and North Bend that held classes as well. We have been working with RDI and the VCB on the economic vitality downtown plan via Zoom. Our grant was extended until December 31st, 2020. Next. The Economic Vitality Travel Grant Plan has now been completed. Rural Development Initiatives in the Coos Bay North Bend Visitor Center gave their final presentation of the plan on December 16th. The Cvda received the electronic plan and the appendices via email. RDI has mailed the completed document in a binder for easy access, and the Cvda will break down the document into the 4 committees for further work and implementation. So we're just starting on that first step there of kind of separating it out into the committees, what each committee needs to be doing. And a lot of them are 2 or 3 committees. And so we're getting started on it, and it was a great plan, and we're excited to move forward with it. Next. Next, we have board member Katie Granado. She's on the promotions committee. She was also the secretary. She was in charge of the theme and decorating the trailer for Drive By Santa, and she came up with the Reindeer Roundup idea. And she's with South Coast Family Dentistry. Next. And if you can believe it, it's been a year. Our annual membership meeting, Celebrate Downtown, January 2021, we sent out an uninvite to everybody, saying that when we can celebrate downtown together, we will. With that uninvite, we sent out our board member elections. We also sent them out by email as well. Our annual award winners were Mel Griswold with Volunteer of the Year. She put in over 200 hours volunteering for the Coos Bay Farmers Market. So she was there at like 5 in the morning, and then she'd leave at like 5 at night. So we were really grateful to her. We had Jenny Shoes with Years of Service. Jenny Shoes has always been a farmers market sponsor. They were also a hand washing station sponsor. Susie Gibbs has been serving on the board of directors. They help host the Shop Small Saturday, the commemorative mug turn-in, and they just do a lot for our community, and we're really grateful to give her that award. And then South Coast Family Dentistry for the Partnership Award. They partnered with the Cvda on the Drive By Santa event and the Reindeer Roundup event, so we were really grateful for that. We added new board members Jay Andrews, Jill Rasmussen, and Nikki Simmons. Next. There they are right there.
And Jill's right there.
Yep, she came to support us. Next slide. So some COVID-19 outcomes affecting the Cvda. We did lose revenue, obviously, from the 2 festivals that we had to cancel, the Blackberry Arts Festival and the Bay Area Fun Festival, and that put us down approximately $12,000. We did hold the farmers market, as we talked about, with half of the vendor space. And that was due to COVID-19 and social distancing. So we were down anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000 is an estimate. These 3 events generate income that directly goes to other downtown projects like the flower baskets, banners, free community events, and more. But on the other side, we did receive a grant from the Oregon Community Foundation regarding COVID-19 in the amount of $5,000, and we received the CRFCS grant for $4,685. And we also received the administrative fees from the Revitalization grant in the amount of $12,000. So although we had a difficult year, we were able to apply for and receive a lot of grants. And also on the festivals that we didn't have those expenses as well. So actually for having COVID-19, the Cvda had a really good year. And so we're grateful for that. Next slide. So with the support of the city, local business owners, community members, and volunteers, we are making a difference in downtown Coos Bay. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yes, under all the circumstances in this last year, you've been very creative and still kept things going and promoting as much as you could. So my hat's off to you, and I want to thank you for all you do for the downtown businesses. So other council comments or questions, anyone?
Yeah, I echo that. It's been a difficult year for promotion with all the restrictions and such. So thank you for being creative and doing everything that you all do. And thank you to all the volunteers that have helped making sure that Coos Bay downtown is not forgotten and is still a vibrant and beautiful place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Holly, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, next item on the agenda is the presentation of the semi-annual Bay Area Chamber of Commerce Activities Report. And I think we have Todd and Tim here. Hi, Todd, how are you?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Holly was on fire. Very good. Excellent presentation. I don't have a PowerPoint tonight.
That's all right.
In 2020, the Chamber focused on our time to shine as we worked on our 5 strategic objectives: create a strong local economy, promote the community, provide networking opportunities, represent business issues, and build a strong chamber. However, we experienced 2 very different types of years during those 12 months. The first section we'll call the normal pre-COVID period of chamber activities. Some of the highlights of what your chamber accomplished in these first 5 months included holding an excellent chamber awards banquet, which celebrated our community's successes with well over 300 attendees. Broadcast 25 chamber minutes each Monday on bi-coastal media stations and in the Saturday World. Held 10 Wednesday Business Connection luncheons until the public gathering restrictions took effect, with an average attendance of 46 to a high of 102 people. Graduated the 31st Leadership Coos class. Held 3 ribbon cuttings for new or expanded businesses, BBR counseling service at the Denard Building on Anderson. South Coast Hearing Center opened their new office at 1052 Southwest Boulevard. South Coast Hospice Thrift Store received a chamber ribbon cutting to dedicate their new donor recognition wall. We also showcased 2 businesses through the Business After Hours program. In January, Edward Jones Investments showcased their financial advisory firm's products and services at the Black Market Gourmet. In February, Northwest Natural sponsored the directory distribution feed at the Coos History Museum. Our LAT, or Legislative Action Team, was highly engaged in the 2020 legislative session, working hard to weigh in on legislation impacting our business community. Our Membership Development Committee facilitated the February 27th membership recognition and directory distribution event in which 66% of our members were visited. With 600 members, 66%, that's quite a few touches to get those directories out there. Then came the different focus for the year. The response to the COVID-19 virus impact began in mid-March and dominated all of the personal, business, community operations. Your chamber's been a weekly source of information and resources concerning both personal and economic health. In the midst of this overwhelming challenge, we continued to shine. For instance, we held our golf tournament at Coos Golf Club September 26th, sold out with a record number of teams participating, not one case of COVID tracked. So we had a really good event. A lot of fun. The weather parted for us, so it was great. We had a new event called the Scary Sweets event in October. It was a Halloween-themed cake and cookie auction, and that was on the 29th at the Mill Casino. WBC reopened between restrictions on October 28th and November 4th. The Economic Outlook Forum, December 11th, was a totally virtual event, and it was very successful. First time we've ever done anything like that. The Education Committee funded and gave scholarships to students from Marshfield High School, North Bend High School, and SWAC. Part of the funding came from a Pie in the Face drive. New members, and there were some throughout the year, were welcomed with flower arrangements from Pedal to the Metal, florist, and mugs provided by Chamber Executive Committee members. The Chamber Minute continued in the paper and on bi-coastal media stations for another 27 weeks. Staff pushed ahead with the development of the 2021 Community Profile and Business Directory, which will be distributed to members and other interested users later this month on the 25th. Unfortunately, no barbecue or taco feed this year. With the retirement of long-time office manager Pam Cottrell, your Chamber enters 2021 with a staff of 2, an energetic board of directors, and a commitment to focus on success being our journey and not our destination. We thrive as a united community. Remember, our business is helping your business, and we look forward to a better year this year. Thank you very much.
You bet. You've been busy also, Todd, with a lot of things going on.
Yeah,
so.
we certainly have. So we're planning for our chamber banquet, and I will defer to Tim if he wants to come up and say some remarks, but that'll be a virtual event, it looks like, and we're hoping that'll be announced shortly.
All right. Any comments for Todd since he's up here? No? All right.
Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks. Tim?
as we're all aware, these have been interesting times. As you discover things, I mentioned to Roger, I said, this is a first, because I got 2 League of Oregon Cities meetings, virtual meetings this week canceled for weather. Go figure that one out. That's because they don't have electricity in Salem.
Oh, okay.
And able to do it. So there are many, many different things, and we try to look at that. One of the 2 most important aspects was, you know, there's a wealth of information that started in March, April, and whatever, and we tried to synthesize that down to here are health issues, and here are economic opportunities in that, and get that relatively clear out to all the membership. And SCDC worked that, and I think several of us were trying that, but the whole concept was, here's information you need. Now what we've come up, the virtual Economic Outlook Forum, we had a great program like we normally do, but you know, it worked out pretty well with almost 140 people online watching and participating, being part of that. So that was a success we saw. And as we look ahead to the banquet, of course, as you're well aware, the most important things you do in most of these get-togethers is talk to one another, and the side conversations, and the opportunities to find out what's truly going on in your set, or what have you tried, and what's good. So that is something that we all miss in every one of our groupings that we're part of. But having said that, there's still the opportunity to celebrate. There's still the opportunity to acknowledge excellence and really look at the positive aspects which still live in our community. So we had a couple of great examples. We focused on the Medford's Chamber and their virtual set that they had, and we're going to use parts and focus of that. So there will be, actually we'll put together a video, a pre-done video with the awards, with a variety of things that go on that way, with the presentation of here's what your chamber's done this past year, here's who's being part of it coming up. And it'll be about an hour to an hour and a half. And we're in the midst of putting, plus the little extras that Medford had. We found out, boy, you can do that fairly cheaply. You know, getting responses, you know, famous people saying, you know, maybe Joe of Toyota is the business of the year, and you'll come on, for example, I know he's dead, but you'd have Lee Iacocca come on and go, well, yeah, I'm really into that, and Bob, that was wonderful. You know, it's about a 15-second piece, and they're out. And somehow you can get those. And that, so we're looking into that. The whole concept is we're going to make it once again what it ought to be, which is a celebration of community, a celebration of the success and resiliency that we've seen, and the ingenuity that people have put together. Going to be different, and you won't get a prime rib. Won't get to Chad either, but, you know, it'll be a good set, it'll be a good community celebration. And beyond that, we all continuously look ahead to, yeah, and we're going to get back together again. When we do get back together, virtual is still going to have a hand in that sense, so there'll be a different normal, but it'll be certainly an appreciation of people to people and eyeball to eyeball.
Yeah.
So anyhow, look for that. Right now we're scheduled for March 27th, and you'll see more of that coming up very, very shortly.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate
Tim.
it. Okay. Any questions for anyone on the chamber? No?
Sounds great.
Yeah, it is. All right.
Thank you both.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is presentation of the annual report for the city's wastewater operation and maintenance contractor.
I'll take it. I'd like to introduce Jan Guy with Jacobs. She's here to give the annual report for the operations and maintenance work they do for the city currently.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Hello, council members. Thank you so much for allowing me. I won't take up a lot of your time, but I feel like it's only fair to some of our staff that worked so hard last year. So I would like to highlight just a little bit for our staff. So to start off, my name is Jan Guy. I've been here since May 2020. and I feel like Coos Bay is almost my home now, that I've been here so much. And to start off, we'll just look at the agenda a little bit, what I'll talk about. So every Jacobs meeting, we do a little culture of caring moment. So I'm going to present my culture of caring moment, and then of course, can't talk about 2020 anymore without COVID. We've already heard a little bit about it, so talk about what our staff did to do with COVID last year. Our local team, I'd like to tell you a little bit about them, some of our regional support. Then I just want to highlight the work orders, Biosolids, and some of our operational highlights that we did accomplish last year. So next. So my culture of caring moment, I want to talk about sleep and mental health. So everybody's heard that old saying, right? You're in a bad mood, you got up on the wrong side of the bed. Guess what? It's true. If you don't get a good night's sleep, you really are. You're exhausted. Long term, if you don't get the adequate sleep, it's a lot of health problems. A few tips I got from the internet, from the Mayo Clinic. Exercise regularly. Of course, we've all heard that. Make sure you get a sleep schedule. Make sure that you don't drink anything with caffeine before you go to bed. And get a nice, restful place to sleep and keep a sleep schedule. So before I put everybody to sleep, let's get going. COVID. So when this thing hit, you know, we're essential workers. We got to be there. So Jacobs wrote it out right from the get-go. We had the established match before everybody did, I believe, except for our 6-foot distancing. We had no interruption to service. We leveraged some of our regional and national support for this. We did bring in folks. Myself, there's a whole list, and there's probably people on that list that I didn't mention that I forgot. So we are very proud of what we've been able to accomplish with the COVID and our team, that we've made it through. This year we've had a few hits, but we've made it through and we're all back together again. So we're very proud of our continued operations plan that we did, the continuity. So that was very successful for us to get that going. Next. So our local team. We have 17 full-time employees. During the summertime, we hire like 3 or 4 biosolids. We hire a couple of seasonal staff. But these guys were just awesome last year. The work that we did get accomplished was just awesome, even in the middle of a pandemic. Next. We have regional support to pull from, and the Northwest projects around this area, there's 28 projects. So our guys are all certified with licenses here in Oregon. We did pull regional staff last year, 6,559 hours of regional staff was dedicated to the Coos Bay project. So along with our local team and regional staff, let's just talk about some of our accomplishments, and let's start out with work orders. Next. So managing the site's work orders. We have a system to where the city can automatically go into our CMMS, computerized maintenance system, and they initiate a work order. So when they initiate the work order, our collections department is the one that usually are doing those work order requests, and we finished 169 city requested work orders. We made this a priority to make sure we took care of those city requested work orders. Overall though, we did over 6,600 maintenance work orders. 94% of those were preventative and predictive work orders. Next, let's talk biosolids. We had a huge campaign this year. Starting out at our Biosolids Lagoon, we started this hauling season out with 340 dry tons of available storage in that lagoon. That's all you have. Usually the plant produces about 400 dry tons a year. So you didn't have very much storage, so we doubled down. We were able to get, at the end of the season, we just did this number and did a lagoon survey last month. 1,050 dry tons of available storage. We did a lot of hauling this year. Next. So let's go plant 1, operational highlights. So we had a lot of exceedances back a few years ago. You'll see the chart there. But we had a lot from the disinfection system that it just wasn't performing. So last year, we did do an upgrade to the disinfection system. We were able to lower those excursions because now we have constant and consistent chlorine dosage. We made enhancements to the digester level sensor, painting projects, portable flow meters, CMMS system was upgraded. We have key performance indicator reports now. We also have a HawkWinds database that produces reports to help us out with our process. Next, let's talk about Plant 2 highlights. This was the first time that they ever operated basin in single mode at Plant 2. So we did accomplish this year. It was a rocky start at first, but we were able to get it successfully into operations. We did influent waste stream study at the top. We just finished that not too long ago. And we are lower on our exceedances at Plant 2 compared to previous years. So I didn't want to take up a whole lot of your time tonight, so I just want to go ahead and end and tell you that while we worked hard to promote a long-term solution for you guys, we really love the city, and we do respect your decision to go back in-house with your operations. But I wanted to let you know tonight, we will continue to work with you, and we want to work together to help you implement a very smooth and successful transition. So I'd like to wish everybody a good night's sleep tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
Jan, I want to take this time to thank Jacobs for all their hard work and helping us in this transition. So you've been a great partner, and so I want to thank you for that. And so please pass that along to your other employees and others in the company.
Well, they're listening in, trust me.
Oh, good. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, anyone? I apologize. I should have asked. Anyone? No? All right. I guess not, Jan. Thank you so much. Thanks. Next item on the agenda is consideration of adoption of a Resolution 21-05 authorizing application for an Oregon State Marine Board grant. Jim?
Yes, sir. Thank you. City staff is proposing applying for an Oregon State Marine Board grant to fund the purchase of 14 replacement floats for the Empire and East Side boat ramps. The grant request is for $250,000. State Marine Board staff has advised us that the URA funds expended last year to replace the ramps at Empire Boat Ramp could serve as the city's grant match. The grant application package must include a resolution demonstrating council support for and authorization of the application for the grant. Staff is requesting council consider adopting Resolution 21-05, authorizing the grant application and authorizing the city manager to sign the application.
Council, questions for Jim or anyone else about this?
That's a no-brainer.
Oh. So how would you like to proceed?
I would like to move that we adopt Resolution 2105 authorizing submittal of an Oregon State Marine Board grant application and authorizing the city manager to sign the grant application.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 21-05. Are there any other comments or questions? Or is it a no-brainer, as Carmen stated? All in favor? Please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. We're at City Manager's Report. Roger.
Yes, if you've been in the area of Coos History Museum down on Bayshore, you probably have been a party to some of the traffic revisions. Those are always good news, bad news situations. The good news is that work's beginning on that intersection realignment. It's part of the Coos Bay Village overall project in order for them to occupy additional buildings. That intersection has to be completed, and it's a very complex. It's more than just realigning the intersections. It's also adding traffic signals, upgrading the rails, and upgrading rail safety arms on that. Overall, that's a little over a $2.5 million project all by itself for that. And I'll tell you that very appreciative of our public works staff who has been doing a lot of the heavy lifting as far as working through the process with the developer and being the intermediary as we go through and vet some of the processes. And then, of course, we're also processing reimbursement payments based on state law. So a lot of work on that's been going on. While we're in that area, I can share a little update on the Coos History Museum Plaza project. We did choose through a committee, Carmen, McCaffrey, and Gilbert, designers to help design the future plaza, the boardwalk connecting the History Museum's property to Coos Bay Village, and a future kayak launch there. Jim's still working with the contractor to refine the scope of work and to negotiate price, but we'll be coming back to you, at least as the Urban Renewal Agency, for your consideration on that contract in the near future. We'll continue on in that area. It's 2 years ago that ODOT provided a grant, it's called a TGM, Traffic Growth Management Grant, to the Urban Renewal Agency to help us implement some of the goals and steps for the Front Street Master Plan. COVID also affected us. While it did slow everything down, I can share with you that ODOT has secured a contractor for the project. Staff's meeting with the contractor on site to refine timelines and to move forward, and we'll be providing an update to you and the committee members next week on that. But things are starting to move forward on that, so that all of those pieces are coming together. Over in East Side, contractors are finishing the punch list for the Safe Routes for School project. That's near completion. That was a nice touch to go over there to see the street trees yesterday, very nice. And, you know, a shout out to Rex Miller, who donated a number of trees to go alongside that project. We have a number of street projects going, and we have a number of them in the planning, but there's an additional street project that's going on that's not of our doing, it's ODOT's. And that's down on Johnson, on both the northbound and southbound sides. They are going to be upgrading the traffic signals, installing new ADA ramps, also access ramps, which I call driveways, and then reconstructing Johnson roadbed from as far west as the southbound intersection all the way through to where it becomes a private road down by Safeway. So we partnered a little bit with that one. We have a short section of road in between 101 and the private road near Safeway. It's very advantageous and, in fact, very cost effective to do that. So we'll get that whole section updated. Great. Just a reminder, next week's work session will be with a joint work session, at least in part, with the Parks Commission as you talk about the Parks Master Plan and the need for sports fields, and at least begin some planning and discussion in that arena. In addition, you have a joint meeting on March 9th. This one's with the Planning Commission. This one's related to House Bills 2001 and 2003, both related to housing, specifically housing advancement and a housing pre-production strategies. A lot of work's been going on with our contractor on that, and Those need to be vetted before both the planning commission and the council, and have public hearings where you'll take some public comments. In order to meet the deadline imposed by the legislature, we'll need to have one more joint meeting, and we're looking at May 4th for that meeting. The completion or deadline imposed by the state is May 31st, and we're well on the way to making those deadlines. Appropriately, you just had a wastewater report. I can tell you that the wastewater transition planning is going well. It's definitely underway. Staff is meeting weekly. At least I attend a weekly meeting. I believe my staff attends multiple meetings every week with our consultant, and we are on schedule to take over the operations and maintenance in early July. You'll see every Friday update that we have are accepting applications for certain positions, and you'll see more coming up as we review additional job descriptions. But we are accepting applications for supervisors and a superintendent, and we are starting to receive those applications. So,
Great.
very pleased with that. A reminder that you have goal setting just around the corner on the 6th of March, and I know some of you will be meeting with individually for individual appointments with our consultant. And I was remiss in not sending you an update on where we are with our current goal setting, and I think that'll be important. So either later tonight or early tomorrow, we're going to send you an update, at least with some one-liners on where we are. Much was accomplished, some was not, but I am shocked with how much was accomplished even in spite of COVID. And then lastly, just a reminder, we're in the budget season. So staff's been working on budgets since late December, and starting tomorrow, I'll actually be reviewing with our department heads their draft proposed budgets. And then we'll be bringing that to you before the budget committee on April 15th. So we have a lot of work to do between now and then to get it ready for your review and consideration. So that's it for tonight.
Thanks, Roger. Any questions for Roger on his report? I never asked that, just in case. No? Rob, council comments.
I don't really have anything, except I want to thank the Coos Downtown Association and the Chamber of Commerce for all they do to promote and support the community. And that's about it.
All right, Stephanie.
Just a note that both Councilor Farmer and I attended the Housing Advisory Committee. We went through and kind of refined some areas that we're going to take a look at. We'll be meeting again. I'll let him elaborate on that. Also wanted to remind folks, because we won't meet before next week, we'll be meeting in a work session, but for the community, the teddy bear toss is happening on Friday at the North Bend Community Center. It's a drive-by. Generally, it happens at a SWAC basketball game, but because of COVID, the Junior Chamber of Commerce has come up with a different plan. The teddy bear toss provides the stuffed animals that, a lot of the stuffed animals that the Kids Hope Center uses when they have an intake. A child that is going through a painful situation, whether it's abuse or pulled from a home, and they have to do those interviews, the teddy bears or a stuffed animal like that can provide comfort and reduce anxiety. They know that for a fact. So that teddy bear toss will happen from 4 to 6 at the North Bend Community Center. They're going to have hoops out that you can shoot the teddy bear through. So make sure you put it in a bag, a plastic bag or something that keeps it clean if it does hit the ground. Mike the Bear from KDOC Radio will be there, so you can throw your bear at the bear. And we can do something good and help the Kids Hope Center for the vital service that they provide in the community.
What day was that again?
Next Friday, not this Friday, the following Friday, the 26th, from 4 to 6 p.m.
Great.
at the North Bank Community Center.
Thanks, Stephanie. Bill?
I guess I just want to mention a couple of things. It's exciting and frustrating at the same time to see all the orange cones all over town. It's really exciting that all those street work is being done, and things are going to be so much better when they're done, but navigating some of that can be a little bit of a headache. And the other thing I wanted to mention to you was my being the council's representative to the bond oversight committee for the school district. Even though we've had COVID and we haven't been able to meet in person, we're still getting updates from the project managers, and I think they're posting most of it on the school district's website. But just to let you know, East Side's pretty much finished. They just had a couple of things to wrap up and get some final inspections done. The junior high, Marshfield Junior High, had gotten a little bit behind schedule, but I'm happy to report, as of this week, they're back on schedule, and everything's under budget.
So that never happens.
Yeah, no kidding. The initial work for the renovations and the remodeling and the addition to Madison School, the beginnings of that has already taken place. They've had extensive meetings. The architect has had extensive meetings with the staff and with the district board. So that's happening, and I think that goes out to bid here pretty soon. I can't remember exactly when, but that's quite a project. When you get a chance to take a look at that, you should. HGE is the engineer, as the architect that's been hired to do the renovation for Madison.
Nice.
And he's done a fantastic job. It's impressive. And I think all of that's on their website, but you may want to take a look. That bond measure was really good for our school district, and their kids are going to have nice, safe, clean, comfortable buildings when all this is over with.
That's great.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Bill. Carmen?
Let's see, first off, I'd like to, as a private citizen, thank the city staff. I've been working with the city staff quite extensively during our build out of a new location, and happy to report that I'm very pleased with the functionality of our city staff and the way that they work with developers and private citizens and private companies to make their visions become reality. So I just wanted to give them a shout out and give them some extra praise, because it's been a great process, and in the middle of COVID, when everything is difficult, they've been very easy to work with. So I just want to say thank you to all the city staff. I also wanted to say thank you to the staff of Jacobs that has been doing all the services that we've been discussing over these past few months. They've continued to provide great service and do their best to make things work for our community. And in discussions of where we go next in the future, I think it's really important to thank everybody that's been a part of where we are today and what has brought us to this point. So to everybody that's been working hard on behalf of the city to take care of our wastewater management system and collections, I thank you. I believe that I speak for the whole council when I say thank you for your service. That's all I have.
Oh, yes, and you do. Drew?
I'm going to be long-winded today. Have one thing I wanted to check on and one thing to talk about related to the homelessness issue right now, and question on jail capacity right now. Deputy Chief, it's my understanding that the state hospital has been releasing some of its patients back to the jail as their next destination. Are we familiar with what impact that might be having on jail capacity?
Jail capacity, I don't believe that there's a capacity issue in terms of inmates versus the available beds. I believe they're operating right around 100 beds right now, and I don't know what their capacity is, but I would estimate probably 30%, 40%. Don't quote me on that, but I believe there's capacity. The biggest issue that we're having is the COVID restrictions on the jail.
That's pretty good right now. The second part, related to what the state hospital has been doing with regards to mental health, I bring up because I think it's important not only for us to be aware of, but for our citizens in the community. I'm always surprised how many folks actually watch us, to be aware and to do outreach to their legislators about the actions the state hospital is taking currently. This is something I ought to talk to the governor a while back about. I think I've talked about it here before. So the state hospital is no longer taking mental health referrals who are not pending assessment to stand trial. That means the most severe cases of mental illness in our community are not able to go to the state hospital where they might receive care unless they have actually committed a crime which is requiring them to potentially stand trial. As one of the reasons you're seeing more mentally ill individuals on the streets, because what happens in effect is those persons with a higher level of care necessity are being sent over to our local hospital, which has a limited number of beds, and by no fault of their own, they're not equipped to act as a state hospital. So those individuals end up stuck in our local hospital long durations of time. At least 3 individuals have been there more than 6 months, which means more moderate cases of mental illness are not able to be treated at our local hospital, which results in those individuals being on the street more often than not. So that is one of the reasons you'll be seeing more mentally ill folks in the community, is they're not able to receive the services that they need due to decisions of the state regarding the state hospital. Moving away from that, the Housing Action Committee, more positive note here. Yeah, like Stephanie was saying, we went through the proposed changes, and a good number of them I would regard as being similar to what we call taking care of business items. Cleaning up old language, things that are just out of place now, things that are no longer relevant. They came back with some good suggestions. Some of those included improving our ability to authorize cottage clusters, streamlining the land use process, which I think we've done quite a bit in the past, but they propose it, I think, as a generic item. Targeted infrastructure development, and some ideas I didn't think were as good. Upzoning is a good idea. One of the things I didn't think was as good was when they were talking about 0 lot line regulations. That's where it determines how close a property can be built out to the edge of its limits, and if you get things too close together, it's not good. Last thing, offshoot of crossing over between Housing Advisory Committee and being on the Housing Action Team now, the topic of the sustainable energy provisions that are in our current code that are being suggested to be revised on the Housing Action Committee side by our consultants. I brought that up during our Housing Action Team meeting, and the Energy Trust of Oregon had a representative there. Came off on a tangent there. They actually liked what was in the proposal, which is good. I had concerns about it, but the additional direction it ended up going was about what they can do with regards to sustainable energy in our community and potential disaster preparedness. I talked to her a little bit about what we plan to do at the library, how we might want to use it as a dual purpose when we do build a new library, that it also be a potential staging ground if a natural disaster should occur, if we should have some large-scale incident that requires secondary shelter for the citizens, that it would be potentially beneficial if that location were set up with solar panels. In the world, we're seeing 2 situations right now. They're talking about in Germany how it's frozen over, those equipments aren't working as well, but we're also seeing down in Texas where coal and natural gas have failed. So I think part of disaster preparedness isn't just observing what can go wrong, but making as many opportunities for things to go right. And if we set up the building with the solar panels, it can have its own battery bank where it can store energy and self-generate energy. And also households have access through the Energy Trust to some funds if they wanted to put solar panels on their own roof. It provides a level of autonomy and self-determination that I think is beneficial. And she also indicated that she's going to talk to her contact at the CDBG to see if they can help find funding for us to build that new library. So that was a nice offshoot that was unintended, but you know, things happen when you're talking to everybody in the room. That's what I got.
Well, that was good. A lot.
Great update.
Very, very informative and,
Said I'd be long-winded.
yeah, no, it's good. And hopefully that the contact and comment will help our library. But hasn't the state hospital, mental hospital, been deteriorating or taking less people and closing over a period of years?
It has.
So, I mean, this has created this
about
problem.
5 years.
Yeah.
5 years ago, they made a determination that each county should only have a certain number of people there per capita. We had 24. They decided we should only have 6, so they started sending people back with little to no notice. Right now, what they're doing is when people are being released back to our community, they are not notifying our local public health, and frequently they're being sent back with care plans that indicate their next destination is jail, even if they have not committed a crime.
So anyway, as these comments have come out, it impacts us in so many ways, and unfortunately, we have to deal with it. So I'm glad that Drew and Stephanie and we have this committee. I don't know what the answers are, but so anyway, so much for that. Anyway, that's part of my comments, and I just also want to reiterate, I want to thank the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce and the Downtown Association for all they do during these difficult times to try to continue to help our businesses, and those are my comments for this evening, and we'll go into Urban Renewal Agency meeting as soon as we can switch over. So anyway, thank you, and I'll adjourn the City Council meeting.
Do we need a break, or should we just go ahead and convene?
You can go ahead.
Move forward.
I'm just
All
gonna
right,
grab
then
some
I'm going to
coffee.
call the meeting. Did you say go ahead?
Yep, I'm
Okay,
just
sorry.
going to grab coffee.
I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Coos Bay Urban Renewal Agency to order. And our first item on the agenda is public comments. Do we have anyone that would like to address the agency? I didn't have anybody on the list. So I will move on to the consent calendar. How do you wish to proceed with the consent calendar?
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the approval of grant writing services contract for the new library building funding. Is Sammy taking that, or you? Sammy?
Here she is.
There she is.
Hi, here I am. Yes, thank you, everyone. Tonight you're presented with a proposal from Cvda Consulting Partnership in regards to writing grants towards the new library facility. And so basically, Cvda charges per grant to write it, and then the city obviously benefits when they are awarded. So did anyone have any questions about any of the grants or any part of that?
Sammy, this is Rob. So I think the Bay Area Hospital Foundation is either not in existence anymore, or it's definitely on hiatus.
Okay.
And also I didn't see where the Cow Creek Umpqua Indian Foundation is on here.
Okay. I will send a note off to Rich Foster about those particular ones and have him double check.
The only other thing that I was going to mention, and I don't know if this is, it's a local grant opportunity, but the Coos Bay, well, the Coos Rotary Foundation does a lot of funding for projects for children, so it may be something that they could put on that second group to maybe fund something for the children's section of the library.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. The more ideas, the better.
Just as a reminder, Rich Foster, the owner of Cvda Consulting, the city engaged his services in the past. He was the grant writer that assisted the city in securing enough grants to do the revitalization of the Egyptian Theater and helped us get it back open. We chose him because of his success percentage in writing grants. There's generally two ways that you compensate grant writers. One is that you either pay them for work on each grant, or you pay them on a contingency basis. Generally, granting agencies frown on the latter, and so we pay for each work, but we found that his success rating was fairly high. I think he'll be instrumental in the beginning days as we go to work towards one. Councilor Farmer was talking about the community development block grant. It's going to take a full court press to get that past that logjam where we're currently not considered eligible. We are arguing that fact, and I think we're going to need some other people, and we may need assistance on the federal level because that's a pass-through grant from HUD. But there are other grants available, and including some yet to be disclosed federal infrastructure grants. There's going to be a big push both by the state and the federal government to do investments in infrastructure, and the closer we are to shovel ready, the better chance we have of getting some of those grants.
So my question was, and you elaborated on, maybe you could elaborate, it's going to cost us, and do we have a ballpark estimate? Is it based on the grants?
It is based, we'll be paying on a per grant basis, very similar, almost exactly to what we did when we worked on it for the Egyptian Theater, and it's been 7 years ago.
Okay.
Does his services include the grant reporting as well?
No, that'll be up to us to do that. I'm sure he would do that, but it would be at a cost, and I think we'd be better off utilizing our own personnel to do that.
Are there any other questions? All right, how would you like to proceed?
I'll make the motion to approve contracting with Cvda Consulting Partnership, grant writing services as recommended by the Library Steering Committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the contracting with Cvda Consulting Partnership grant writing services, and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sammy.
And that is the last item we have on our agenda, except an executive session. So at this, we are not coming back into session following
You're correct.
the executive session. So we are now moving to item number 4, executive session.
The Urban Renewal Agency will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602A for the purpose of discussing real property transactions. If the agency intends to come out of executive session to take final action, the presiding officer should announce when the open session will begin again. Representative of the news